Hey everyone, I'm Bill Vencil. This is Chords of Orion, and I get a lot of questions about reverb pedals. So on this video, I'm going to take a look at the big three, what I call the big three types of reverbs. That's spring, plate, and hall reverbs, and discuss what they sound like and what kind of music they're good for. Let's get to work. First up is spring reverb. And this is probably, I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably one of the older, if not one of the oldest types of reverbs out there. They used to make them in individual standalone units, or they would be incorporated into guitar amplifiers themselves. Think Fender amps for classic spring reverb sounds. And the way a spring reverb basically works is you literally have one or two or maybe even more springs stretched out to create tension, and on one side of the spring you have a transducer that brings audio in to vibrate the strings, and on the other side you have a pickup to collect that springy sound and run it back into the system, again, whether it's a guitar amplifier or some other electronic system. All right, so I've got a sound up here that I think is probably going to be good for a spring reverb. Yeah, kind of a bluesy, I don't really play blues, but kind of a bluesy sound. All right, if we add some spring reverb in from the Source Audio True Spring, which is a good example of a spring reverb pedal, here's what we get. Yeah, kind of a cool sound. Let's bring that mix up so you can really hear the spring type of sound coming through. It's not what you would call a hi-fi reverb, right? It's kind of lo-fi, a little grungy. Some of the spring reverb units allowed you to feed distorted sound into the springs and really kind of get it gritty, good and gritty. And if you listen carefully, you can hear that even though this is a digital pedal, it emulates that boingy, yes, boingy is a technical term, boingy spring sound. Now, I don't use spring reverb a whole lot, but when I do, I normally keep it kind of down low just as kind of a background fill. Yeah, that's cool. So what kind of music are spring reverbs good for? Well, blues is kind of a classic, obvious maybe choice. But I think also any kind of classic rock. So if you're in a classic rock band, or if you're in a band that really aspires to get that classic rock kind of sound from maybe the 60s into the early 70s, spring reverb is a really good choice to consider. Next up is the plate reverb, and it's really good for 80s style music. Here's a basic plate reverb sound coming from the TC Electronic Hall of Fame 2. And plate reverbs in pedal form generally allow you to go from a very long decay time to a very short decay time. And here's a better sound just of the reverb itself. As you can tell also, it's a little more hi-fi sounding than the spring reverb was. Now, what the heck is an actual plate reverb? Well, basically, it's about a 6-foot length of very thin steel, about 4 feet high or so, 1.5 meters, and it's suspended in a cage by springs, and on one side of the plate is a transducer to bring the audio in to vibrate the steel, and on the other side, just like the spring reverb, there's a pickup that feeds the audio back into the mixer or the other part of the audio circuit. Now, I just mentioned it's good for 80s style music, kind of like this. I was channeling a little bit of U2 there because they used plate reverb quite a bit back in the day, and it really did complement Edge's kind of signature dotted eighth sound. And the third type, yeah, of course, is the hall reverb type. And here's what a basic sound of a hall reverb is coming from the Neunaber Immerse. Yeah, it's a little more hi-fi, isn't it? Let me bring it up so you can hear it better. Yeah, that's very nice. And although hall reverbs do typically have short decay options, I feel like they really shine with the longer decay times. And some pedals, like the Immerse, if you crank the decay time all the way up, it's almost like an infinite reverb. Yeah, that's really cool. Now, what is a hall reverb type? Well, it really didn't come about, I don't think, until digital technology allowed pedal makers and other music gear makers to emulate the sound of a real room or hall. And that's kind of what you're hearing with this type of reverb. It's a lot more hi-fi. I've got a stereo reverb here, and the stereo field is very nice. It's wide, it's lush, it spreads out. And many of the hall reverb types also allow you to add in modulation. Now you can hear that pretty well with the Immerse. And I think they work really well when you combine a hall reverb with a delay pedal and then do volume swells. I like that a lot, and yes, I have a volume pedal on the floor that you can't see. So it's not just about making a decision about reverbs, it's also about delays. And I've got a video here just for that. Click on that video and I'll catch you over there.